Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel Made with Love. My name is Heather and today I'm going to make the sock monkey kit. So in here it says you get the socks, filling, plastic buttons, thread, needle, birth certificate, ribbon, and instructions. I'm going to turn my camera down, open this and pull everything out. I haven't opened it yet. I just wanted to do this film of me doing this. So I bought this craft kit from Dollarama for $3.50. Just gonna see. It's a big thing of stuffing and everything else. Okay. So I guess my sock monkey gets to be brown and white striped. So there's the socks and the thread. And I'll already say right now, I was kind of disappointed that, you know, the sock monkey, you pay $3.50 and the base of it is just a pair of socks. I can usually get for about $1.25, but that's okay. And his little birth certificate. So actually, technically this one comes with two. I'm in Canada, so you get one in English. What am I doing? Okay. One in English and one in French. So that will be kind of neat to just. Yeah. So I got to give him a name and write today's date on that. Now we've got the instructions. I'm hoping that these instructions are better than the last kit I made. The last kit I had two instructions and they both had steps and asking for pieces that my kit didn't come with, so I had to kind of piece the two, I had to go back and forth between the two instruction pages trying to figure out where I was making it. So let's see, so this one seems pretty easy. I'm just saying, so you cut the sock in two pieces. Okay, and then you cut it, and then you stitch where you cut, keeping open for stuffing. Turn right side out and stuff. Okay. And the other sock gets cut into about 6 pieces, it looks like. So I'm just gonna see if that's right. So I guess I'll just start with the first thing is just pull out the pair of socks and just lay it out. So I gotta kind of get this to go this way. I need to lay it out with it flat this way. This is kind of what it says to do. Got this, so all I do is just cut up here from the back of here down to the heel, and then seam on this side. I'm just doing one little chunk at a time. My scissors are not very good. I just don't want to cut too far. I'm just making sure it's as far as I have to cut. I think that's about right. Okay, and then it says now we turn inside out. Now we stitch. And we got to stitch that together. So now we've already got kind of his body and his legs. I guess, you know, if I put it this way, his body and his legs now. So now I just gotta start stitching this together. This is pretty easy. I've made sock monkeys before. I know I had them. I made a couple for my kids quite a few years ago. And I've been cleaning my house the last couple of weeks. I've been working on my kitchen. I'm still working on my kitchen, just trying to get everything in the cupboards all put together, organized, and just getting rid of any extra items I no longer need. But I've also been working on getting rid of stuff I have down in my basement. So my basement I am not filming because it's got a couple of areas down there that we use for storage, and it's very cluttered, and it's just a lot of the stuff would be just personal papers. So that stuff I don't want to film myself doing, you know, personal paper stuff. you know, you've got like, you know, kids' school projects, you know, whatever, bills and stuff that I just, you know, that's personal information on there. I just very careful about. So I wasn't filming myself doing that part. But when I get to the actual finalization, I will be filming a little bit more downstairs. But I found the couple of my kids' sock monkeys that I had made, or I'd started to. So I don't think they were ever fully finished. So I will find them because I had them just the other day. As I said, that would be nice just to show what the sock monkeys looked like that I had started. Obviously, I know the leg wasn't stitched, and they're missing their tails, and one's missing his eye. And I think it's because my kids actually played with them because it was like a toy. So it doesn't really say. It's not really saying where to stitch. So for now, I'm gonna keep the leg holes open. So I'm just gonna stitch this whole opened part here. And I'm gonna leave both the leg holes open to stitch because that's usually easiest, I think. Or would I stitch? Or would I leave that? Oh, maybe I'll just close these. I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave. I don't know. I'll figure out where is the best places to leave open as I stitch. What am I doing? I'm gonna do this stitch. I don't know what it's called. It's like a blanket stitch kind of a thing. Yeah, I don't know the terms for these different types of stitching. I am learning the different words, so I believe this is called a blanket stitch, where you're going through one side and then back through the loop and then pulling it, so you're stitching all from the one side. So I get this nice row of stitching like that. It's the basic stitch that I use to stitch everything. I use it for blankets, the kids' clothing, everything. It was like one of the first stitches I learned, and I think it's the only stitch I actually use. So it's not going to take me long to get this stitched up. So I'm going to stop right here because I think I'm right about here. So I've got this little, about a ½ an inch between where your heel would be to where the top of the foot is going. So I've got that. So I'm going to stop right there. I'm just going to tie a little knot up here. Just like I said, I'm just going to tie a little knot. I'm just going to take the two ends and just tie a basic little shoelace type of a knot, just like a double knot here. I don't trust my stitches, or my stitching, that they might come out. So I usually do an extra stitch or an extra little more secured knot. So now I'm going to grab some more thread and do the same thing on the other foot. I'm just going to stitch this foot closed up here and come back down. So I'll have a nice opening to stuff. So I will be back when I get this side stitched. All right, I've got both the legs sewn. So now the next thing is you're going to turn this the right side. Just be careful not to pull and undo the stitching, because that's something I usually end up doing, is I pull too fast or too hard. now we got to add the stuffing. So grab a nice big ball of the stuffing. I'm just going to stuff up to where his head is, and then down the legs. Like I said, I do a lot of cushions and stuff where I stuff. So one of the things I do is I'm trying to get it even, is just kind of roll it is a nice way to get the stuffing to go up more even than trying to just, you know, sit here and pack it in. See, I add the next group. You can see where the next group is. It's got this big lump here. So if I just roll it, it kind of pushes it up, and then the two chunks meet, and then they just meet so much nicer. Now I get a nice flat surface. See, he's kind of almost sitting on now. So now I'm just going to grab a little bit and do his feet. Now, because I need it to be more like his foot shape, so I'm kind of rolling it like this in my hand just to try to get it into more of a cylinder. And then just stuff his feet with it. And I'll do the same for the other one because it's in a big ball. So I find if I just kind of stretch it out a little and just kind of go like that, it kind of gets it more into the cylinder shape, except it keeps wanting to break off into smaller pieces, but that's okay. I'm just trying to get this all in here. And just kind of twisting it a bit, just to get it more into the cylinder shape for his legs. So I think I'm just gonna kind of squeeze it. Squeeze it and fluff it, and just see there's a little bit too much right there. I can just kind of play around with it. So that really starting to look like a little person of some kind. You've got his head, the body, and the legs. Now we just have to stitch up this opening. So grab some more of the thread. Find the end. I've kind of like all tangled this emery floss up. Sometimes I can get the emery floss to be really nice, and other days I pull on it and I pull the wrong spot and I just cause knots. Today is one of those days where it's in one big knot now because I pulled the wrong end the wrong way. It's tricky sometimes just to see the end on here because my board is white and the light is just reflecting off this board. So I'm trying to find the... I'm not going to be able to get that. I'm going to try this other side. Get this threaded. There. What did I do? One piece didn't go through the... Okay. Well, this kit does say, this one actually says it's for ages 5+, and the other one was a 6+, and I'm just gonna say I don't really know anybody those ages who can do this type of sewing. I didn't say that kids can't. They'd obviously need like parents' help with this, but I would definitely say like an 8-year-old could probably, you know, like when somebody's like that 8 to 10-year-olds could probably make this craft pretty easy with not a lot of help. again, it just kind of depends on the, not necessarily the age of the kids, but how well the kids know how to sew. This one here seems so far so much easier than the other one that I had made last week. I made the little bear kit. So now this, I'm going to do the other stitching, if I can just have to get this in here. So always trying to get the first stitch lined up is always the trickiest. So I'm doing this invisible stitch. It is always just the hardest one because I got to go from the inside on one side, and then you do the inside across from it, and when you pull, then you're going to pull the two pieces together, and it should stitch, and it should be like this. Your stitch should be a little more hidden. Now, I have trouble doing this. I don't sew too often. Not like this. I'm sure if I sewed more, I could probably figure out how to do this faster and easier and really get the invisible stitch. Just gonna go very slowly. Just work on one side and then cross and stitch the other side, and then as I pull the thread, the seam is closing. Got a little piece of the thread is coming through. It's okay. I will fix that when I get this done. I'm not too worried if you can see some of my stitching where I kind of pulled too tight. So I'm just more amazed that I'm actually crafting and making something, and my stitching is actually, you know, for the most part, kind of more invisible than I thought it would be. Now some of my stitching, because it is white thread and part of this is brown, so some of the stitching you can kind of see a little bit through the brown. I'm not worried about that. Where I'm stitching with the white, you don't see it. So it's just kind of where the brown is, probably because I'm probably not quite doing it quite right. But that's okay. I'm trying to stitch on the inside. I'm trying to keep my stitching on the inside. Oops, I got this right here on this chunk of his leg. I kind of messed up. Okay, let me just see if I can just fix this. Kind of pulled this leg too tight. That last stitch I did, I just pulled it just a little too tight there. There. I'm just gonna fix that. Just okay. There. Now got his leg all stitched in. I'm just gonna snip this because I got this little tail of the knot kind of came through. I'm just gonna clip some of that extra little piece of thread. I didn't get it all. Just don't want to cut his leg off, but I just kind of want to cut some of that loose piece off. There. Okay, I'm just gonna. Now this last little finishing knot. I don't know how I'm supposed to finish this off. I think I'm going to end up having where it's going to have a little knot sticking out on the outside just because I don't quite know how to get the... I figured out how to do the invisible stitching, but I haven't quite figured out how to end it where the knot is inside. Sometimes That's okay. If I tie on the knot on the white, it's not going to be quite as noticeable. So there we go. So now I've got his body and his legs. I know this one leg is just a little funny, so I'm just going to fix it with the stuffing. Just going to roll the stuffing. There. That looks a little bit better. I'm also just going to kind of roll the stitching so the stitching is more to the back, not so much at the front, but that foot is just a little funny. That's okay. I think as I make the rest of him, that will be a little bit better. There he is so far. So now we're done up to step 5. So now we're on step 6. Now I've got to get the next sock. Oops. And now this we have to cut. The sock we have to cut into a couple different pieces. So I'm just trying to figure out how they have cut. Okay. Because out of here we have to have a tail, 2 hands, and 2 ears. Okay. So if I just cut this, okay, now I see what I'm supposed to do. So again, I'm going to cut this sock from the up here at the top down to the heel, and then cut that right across. I'm just going to like that. So if I cut that and cut this way, now I've got, this gives me his 2 hands, and this piece here, I cut this piece here out right here. And this gives me his mouth where the heel of the foot is. I cut that in half right there. So I've got his mouthpiece, 2 hands, and then I'm also supposed to be able to cut out his tail and 2 ears. So there's his tail, and then 2 ears. So we just have to cut. So for the ears, I'm just going to grab, that pencil broke. I'm going to grab a pen. No, that's a marker. I just want just basic. Don't I have anything here? So I just need to draw kind of the shape for his ears. Like that. I'm going to fold this in half. I need to make 2 ears. So I'm going to fold this in half. I'm just going to cut out 2 little half circles. If it folded, then I should be able to get 2 ears out of that. Oh, I think I cut the wrong way. Yeah, I'm supposed to cut it. I should have cut it with the fold the other way. That's okay. I've got his 2 ears. I will fix that when I go and stitch it. And because it's telling me the size that his pieces are supposed to be, and I honestly don't know. Okay. So now I'm just going to start with the 2 hand pieces and just leave the other stuff for now. So I've got the 2 hand pieces, so I'm going to turn them inside out. And I'm just going to do the same thing where you just kind of stitch along the 2 of the sides, leave the one open, flip it right side and stuff it. So that is what I'm going to work on. I'm just going to get these lined up and just finding my needle and thread here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to stitch. I'm going to start with where his palms would be. I'm going to start there. So then my finished edge where I'm going to stuff, I'm going to do that one. That's going to be this stitch on the, when I do the kind of the invisible stitch, but that's going to be where I end up stitching it onto the body, so it won't be as noticeable if I mess up. So I'm just going to stitch up his two hands like this, same as I had done before. Just going to do like this basic, I believe this is called a blanket stitch because it looks like the top of like every blanket I've ever seen. I'm just going to stitch his hands. So I'm starting with where his palm is, and then I'm going to go up the arm and then flip it the right side and stuff, and same with the other arm. So I'm just going to do starting where his palms, going up the arm, then I'll flip it right side and stuff it. So when I'm ready to stuff his arms, I will be back because I don't have a lot of memory left on my phone at the moment. I deleted a lot of stuff, but I still don't have enough memory. So I will be back when I'm ready to stuff the arms and stitch them onto his body. Alright, so I've got the two little arms stitched and ready to stuff, but I decided before I get to that point, I'm just going to make all the other pieces before I stuff them. So now I've got the tail piece, so I'm just going to turn it inside out. Same thing, I'm just going to stitch the tail from the one end all the way up, and I will be back when I get that done so I can do the stuffing and stitching on the tail and the arms at the same time, because they're two steps and they're close together. It's once I get the tail and the arms on, then it's the ears and the mouth that are the little bit trickier pieces. So just let me stitch up the tail, and then I'll be back and we can stuff the tail, the hands, and sew them on. Okay, so I got the tail stitched. I'm gonna flip it right side. And I got the arms already turned right side. I'm gonna say one thing that's handy about this is it's the stripes. So I'm able to keep the stripes pretty even by when I'm stitching. I'm using the stripes as the spacing for my stitches. So all my stitches are evenly spaced out. So now I'm just going to grab some stuffing. Just going to stuff his arms. Those arms don't look as long as I think they should be, but it's hard to tell with the picture. I kind of want them a little bit thinner, more round, so I'm just going to roll it in my hand. There. Got that arm stuffed. Grab some more stuffing, do the other arm. See, this is pretty easy. I mean, this kit says ages 5+. I would say I definitely can see like a more like a 6-7-year-old with help, but for sure an 8-year-old would be able to, 8 to 10-year-olds easily make this sock monkey. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's another one I've made before with some older day-home kids. I've done the cat, where again it's made out of 2 pairs of socks. I haven't done that one for quite a few years because I just haven't had the kids old enough to do it, but I've made them for some of the younger kids. So I'd like to do that. So this one, this is easy, is because I've made sock monkeys before for my own kids. I recently found 2 of them. Like I said, my kids actually played with them, so they weren't stitched very good, so I know the stitching on the one is coming out. They both have lost their tails. One has lost an eye. So like I said, when I get this done, I will, next time I stop, I will run down and grab them because I know right where they are. Okay, so there's the two arms. They're kind of a little bit thick. They're not quite as round as I'd like them to be. But I think if I just push it down, I think as I stitch it on, I can kind of make it a little more round. Yeah, see, when I go to stitch it onto his body, I can make it a little more round. And now I'm just going to stuff his tail. So I'm just going to pull this stuffing more into like a long cylinder. Just start stuffing. It's really hard with my thumbnail. Ow, it really hurts. The other day when I was going to grab the chopstick because it's sitting here. The other day when I was sanding, I got my thumbnail caught on the sandpaper and I cracked my thumbnail right across here, right to the center. So now it just wants to lift up. It didn't bleed and I did have it repaired, but it was it was quite a few days ago. So I did have it repaired. I fixed it using, I couldn't find what I wanted to use, which is the nail glue. The other night when I was trying to do it, I couldn't find my bottle of nail glue. So I just used clear nail polish and a small piece of the tea bag. And that's how I fix my acrylics when they break. It's just a little piece of the tea bag or a coffee filter, something, anything like that, or tissue paper. And it's supposed to be with the nail glue. I couldn't find my bottle of nail glue, so I just used the top coat or clear nail polish just as a temporary fix. And it was doing pretty good until this morning when I snagged it on something else. Okay, so now we got the tail done too. So got his two hands and his tail, so they're ready to stitch on. But I'm going to save all the stitching onto his body till the end just because I really want to get his ears done. I've got his ears here. I'm just going to stitch up his ears. Now it doesn't say this doesn't, I can't even talk. So this doesn't look like you stuff his ears, but I want to put a little bit of stuffing in his ears. I don't really like the way that they have stitched them on, so I'm just going to keep the ears inside out. And I'm just going to stitch them. So I will be back when I just get the ears kind of stitched. So I've got my two, let's see, they're kind of attached because I didn't cut them. So I'm just going to fold this in half and I'm just going to stitch straight up and down so I get a nice curve. And then I'm going to cut a little slit and turn it right side. So I'm just doing it to both the ears. That way I can get the ears, the arms, and the tail stitched on at one time, because the next step is the tricky one, and it is trying to get his mouth. And that's the one I've read the instructions. I don't quite get it because they don't quite have enough instructions. It's just like a quick sentence and you're done. So I'm just going to do his ears. So when I get his ears stitched, I'll be back. Yes, I got his ears stitched. Now what I did was I had them folded backwards. So I had the wrong sides together. So when I did his ears, put his hand here, you can see that the color is a little different. It's a little darker because that's the inside. So his ears are going to be a little different than the rest of his face, which is okay. When I realized I'd made the one wrong, I had to go and double check and make sure they're both the same. All this little fluffy stuff. All this fluffy stuffing is just bothering me. Okay, so now it's time to figure out where his arms are going to go. I'm going to go back to this page, just try to figure out where they have his. it looks like. They put his eyes here, and his ears are here, mouth is here. I'm just trying to figure out kind of where his hands would go on his body, I guess. So I'm just going to put them right here. I'm just going to start to stitch his hands in place. I'm not quite sure how to do this, so I'm just going to they don't really say how, they just said sew the arms on the body of the monkey. I don't really know how to do this type of stitching, kind of have the stitches hidden, but you have to go through all these layers, and that's what I was having trouble with that bear I was making the other day. Same thing. I don't quite know how to stitch certain things on, as long as I get it through the body somehow, I guess. As long as I get the arm through both, all the pieces, and through the body, it should be able to stitch the arm on. There, see, the arm is stitching on. I'm not really noticing too much of the stitching, which is good. I'm just trying to hide it as much as possible. I think I've got his arm stitched on pretty good. So I'm just going to do one more little stitch and tie a knot here. Now the knot is going to be noticeable because I don't know how to make the knots go inside. I only know how to just do the basic, like the knot that you make for everything, like, shoelaces and bows and stuff. That is the only knot I know how to make at the moment. So that is what I'm going to do. Just finish that off and just clip that thread as close to the body as possible. I've got one arm, so that's what it looks like at the back. So I'm just going to I'm just going to stitch on his other arm here and his tail back here. And I'll be back when I get those stitched on. Little monkey is almost done. Okay, there he is so far with his hands. I know the one is just a little bit up too high than the other one, but I can play around with the stuffing in a little bit. And there's his tail on the back. So now it is sewing on the ears. Now it says you don't have to, it didn't say to stuff the ears, so I'm not going to. So I'm just going to just stitch his ears on. They go about right there. I'm going to save that for a second. I'm going to try to figure out the face. So I've got this piece here. So I'm going to cut this extra little strip off because you just need the heel part. And I think I'm going to stitch it on kind of the backwards just to give it a contrast, like the ears. The ears was an accident, but I kind of like it being the darker color so you notice it more. So about right there. So what it looks like they did is you just kind of stitch it from up here. I don't know if I can explain. So it looks like you just kind of put it above where you want to stitch. You kind of stitch it there and then you pull it down and stitch his face on. So I'm going to figure that out. I think that's what it looked like in the picture. I could be wrong. I don't know. Except there's no real clear explanation on how to sew. They just say sew. They don't really tell you where, and I'm trying to follow the little picture, and the picture doesn't show anything. But you just need to have it so it looks like they sew it this way and then fold it down. So that is what I'm going to do. Okay, my camera's just stopped. It says I just have a couple minutes. So I'm just going to stop here, and I am just going to stitch this on, because I don't know when it's going to stop again. So I'm just going to stitch his face half in place, and I'll be back to show you how I have done it. Okay, so what I'm kind of done is I started up here, and I had it just lifted up, and I just kind of stitched my first half of it there, and I kind of just laid it down. So I'm just trying to figure out where the camera is. So all I'm doing is I'm just kind of going from underneath here. So I'm just going through his body and then up through the lips, kind of like a invisible stitch kind of a thing. I think that's what they did. And you kind of get this, you get this little pocket where I can put my thumb. So I'm just going to go around a little bit more. I'm just going to go around here till I'm back up to the top. It wasn't really clear indication on how to do this. So you can kind of see some of my stitches. I'm not worried about that. I haven't really made anything like this, and there's no instructions on how to. There's no clear instructions on how you're supposed to sew this together, which is why I said some of these crafts, when they don't really give instructions, it's hard to know how you're supposed to stitch. When the instructions just say, oh, now you just sew it. Well, part of having instructions is for it to tell you how you're supposed to sew. Okay, so I'm going to end there for now. So I've got this pocket here, so now I'm just going to grab some of the stuffing. I'm just going to stuff his nose. It's good and stuffed. So I'm just going to stitch this up. I think you're supposed to use like one of those invisible stitches, which I'm trying to do, but it's such an awkward angle now. I think that works so much better. Yeah. Now I can kind of, now that it's stuffed, it's a little easier to see. There. Got a big gap there I kind of missed. So I'm going to have to come back and stitch that closed. There. Play around with that a little more up there on his top of his nose, but there we go. I think I've got his nose sewn on. It looks okay. Just gonna get around here so I can get this fixed. Just a little more there. So I'm just gonna tie this off. Now I can just sew on his eyes and his ears. So I will be back in just a few moments. When I get this all done, I just gotta find where I put the other little bag. So I will be just back in just a few moments. I'm just watching the countdown. I've got like 10 seconds before the video is gonna stop on me again. So I haven't stopped it because there's no point, but I'm just trying to get this tied and I just can't. There. So I will be back. I got to change my memory card because I got no more memory. So I will be back in a... Okay, I am now back. I think I've got lots of time left now. So now I'm going to glue, or not glue, I keep saying glue because I usually use a glue gun. Now I'm going to stitch on his ears. So I'm just going to get... I'm not stuffing his ears. I was going to, and I'm like, well, should I, shouldn't I? I think they'll just look cute just as is. Oops, line up where I wanted his ears to go. His ear to go right there. So I'm just gonna stitch this on. And I just got to stitch on his eyes, and that's really easy to do. His ears and his eyes, and then the little bow. Tie a little knot here. So I'll tie that in a second. I'm just gonna go and stitch the other ear in place first. I get it kind of lined up in the right same spot. About here. I know his face is not quite lined up. It's a little crooked. That's okay. I will fix that in a little bit. I just have to play around with the stuffing. I'm stitching on this other ear. It's a little tricky. So I'm not quite sure where the camera is because it's kind of in front of me, and I have to have the monkey in front of me so I can see where I'm stitching. There, I'm just going to cut that off like that. Now I can do his eyes. I do know how to stitch the two eyes in one time. You kind of make the long stitches through the head. So this I have done before because I said I've made different animals and things. Like, well, I made the cats. I'm just going to push this back right through to the back of the head. Get that lined up so his eyes are now in place. Set the back. Snip this off. I'm just going to tie the knot at the back. Yeah. Like I said, so to do his eyes, it was easy. I just put the thread through down, and then I brought it up on the one side, put the eye through, went back down with the needle, and then I came up the other eye and then went back through the back and tied a little knot at the back. So both his eyes are actually stitched together on the same one piece of thread. Now I've got to do his little smiley face. Just gotta find where I put the needle. Now this one, they sent this. They gave the red piece of thread to do his smiley face. Just have to, the needle threaded. Let's see what they say how to do this. I don't know. Oh, it just says sew the smiley face on. So they're just showing you just coming from the one side. Just gonna put the needle right through. I can get it right through. Like that. I'm just gonna okay, this is just a little tricky because I'm just going right through this. I'm just trying to get my things lined up, but as I stitch, I should have all the red should all be the same. I'm just gonna cut that off and tie the knot there. I'll do that in a second. So there he's got his red face. So now I'm just down to just tying the little red bow. And it came with this little piece of ribbon, which is all crinkled and it doesn't look very nice. So I'm going to use a piece of ribbon that I have. I have this cute little burlap ribbon, if I can find the end of it. Okay. On the spool, but the rest of it is somewhere over here, all tangled with other ribbon that I was using the other day. And this ribbon here actually is like a burlap ribbon. It's from Dollar, is this from Dollarama or Dollar Tree? This is from Dollar Tree. So it was like $1.25 and it's the cutest little ribbon. It's kind of got like a little monkey holding a heart. And this is the one I wanted to make his bow with just because I thought it'd be so much cuter. Although because of the way that this ribbon is, I'm actually going to tie it like a bow tie, like a tie, not a actual bow. I thought it'd be cute because it's a little boy if I can do the tie. Just remember I gotta get this to go back down. I do know how to tie ties. I don't tie them often. I usually have to tie them for my son. Let's see, I did it backwards. So I'm just gonna cut this just so I don't have so much to work with. I'm gonna cut right there, and I'm just gonna cut this little piece here off just so I get two nice pieces to work with. This is gonna be way too much that I need, but that's okay. Tie, an actual tie. I'm just gonna this has to go up, this comes down, and then it goes through, back, and it goes through here, and I know how to do this. I just, okay, now it comes up and it goes, I flipped it the wrong way. I gotta go through. Okay, I've got that part coming down, and I've got that part. So this has to come back. I know how to tie an actual tie. I've got the knot, and I've got this. And I gotta take this and bring it back up. A little tricky just because this is just so small of a space to work with. So I gotta this has to come back down. It comes back down. Oops, I see I put it down through the wrong. Just gotta come back down through this spot here. Just can't get it to go through there. It's just a little too small. I pull it down, and I should have a bow tie, or not a bow tie, I should have a tie, and I just undid my last. Shoot. I've done that one time before. I'm like, oh. You pull it the wrong way, and then you flip it around, and then you go backwards. So this comes up and down, and it goes like that. This, I know this goes, what did I do? I've got that, and I've got that, I've got that, so that makes, and then this comes around behind, and then it comes up and through there. That's the step I missed. And it's really hard to push this through, so I'm going to use the chopstick. There. Now I've got the little bow tie, or not, I keep saying bow tie. I've got the little tie, and then kind of, but it doesn't want to roll that properly. Got it partially. I was just trying to make the little, an actual tie, not a bow tie. I'm going to try that once more, but I will be back because you don't need to watch me struggle. So I've got to, I know I'm flipping something upside down, but I will be right back when I figure this out. Hey, there he is. I got the little tie tied. It took me a couple tries. I couldn't remember how to do it, but it is so simple. I'm trying to think, what do I have here that I can, I thought I had something I could tie the bow tie, or tie the tie back on. I'll grab something in 1 second, but I want to show, these were the sock monkeys I made so many years ago. Their tails are gone. I never actually made faces for these guys. Their arms are gone too. My kids just played with them. I mean, this one's missing his eye, but this stitching is all coming undone. But I made these for my kids. These are my youngest two. I don't know where the other ones went because I made one for each of my kids. So I had made 4 of the sock monkeys. I don't know. I made these when my youngest two were in elementary. They're both now in high school. So, I mean, I know I made these probably close to like 9, 10 years. I know we were living in this house, so I'm thinking probably between 9 and 11 years ago. So their missing pieces are somewhere in a box, but you know, my kids, I made them. They were good enough for my kids. So that is what, you know, no sewing, don't know how to make things. I just made them one day for my kids. Each one took actually, I think each one actually took 3 socks to make because I didn't know how to do the cutting. So I made 4, and I used the guys' really good work socks. So I think I bought, so you know, I think it took me 12 pairs of socks to make 4 sock monkeys because I didn't know what I was doing. But just give me a minute and I will just find something so I can quickly show you how to do the tie. It is so easy. It's just in 6 little steps. So I've got a little toy over there. So just let me go and grab that. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you the easy way to tie this. I made his little tie. So you've got your two pieces. You've got your short side and your long side. Now my short side is still attached to the spool, so I just don't want to cut an extra piece of ribbon I don't need right now. But I got this long piece, and this will be the pretend short piece. So all you do is you take your long piece, go over the short piece, under, then over, so you kind of get this like a Z pattern. And then you just bring it up from underneath, and then when you bring it up, you put it under this little first little thing right here, the first when you first crossed it over, and you just pull that, and when you pull everything tight, pull from underneath, pull from up top, and there you go. You've got a really cute little simple little tie. It is so easy to do, but I said sometimes I just, flip it around, I go upside down. But I'm going to show it once more to show how easy it is to make a bow tie. Or I'm going to keep saying bow tie. How easy it is to just make a regular tie. It's just a little slip knot kind of a tie. So you've got your short end on my left side, and my long end is on my right side. I'm just going to take my long end, cross over, come underneath, then cross over again. And when I cross over again, I create the little, I'm sorry, it's probably hard to see. I create the little pocket. So then I come up under everything, and I go right through that little pocket I made. Now if I pull it down, it's probably, I know, I'm at a wrong angle. I'll try to find a better angle in a second and do it once more. When I pull that down and I pull that tight, I get the little tie. Just give me a second to just find a better camera angle. Let's see if I just lay the doll down flat, maybe. There. Oh, that's not going to work either. I'm just going to figure out where a good camera angle is. Right there. Okay. Stop her. Sit down again. I'm going to draw once more. Show you how easy it is to make a little tie. Because I like that idea that I can make little ties on little things instead of always using like an actual ribbon, like a bow tie. So you just take your two pieces, you have your long piece and the short piece. So you just kind of cross over the long piece over top of the short piece. You fold it and you come back over. I don't have enough now. So I'm going to start again. I'm just going to give myself a little more thing because I kind of just pulled it wrong. Okay. So you got your long piece. I've got it in my right hand. Just cross the two over. And then you come under, and then you cross over a second time, and this time you come up from underneath like that, and then you push it down into this little knot that you made, and when you pull it down, it's going to tighten everything. So you pull this side, and all this other stuff is going to get pulled underneath, and there you go. We've got our little bow tie. I'm gonna keep saying bow tie. Got our cute little tie. I'm just gonna play around with the camera angle and see if I can just figure out how to get an overhead shot. So just give me a minute. Okay, I'll try once more. This is the best of an angle I can get for overhead. So you've got your short piece and the long piece. So I'm just going to take the long piece over top of the short piece and just come from underneath. I know my hand is in the way. I just don't know how to quite do that where my hand's not blocking. But then I get this kind of a thing. I'm going to slide that up. And then this time go over once more. And you will see that when you do this, you get this loop that wants to come over top of everything. So just leave that loop, and then you push it up through here, and then you push it through this loop, and then you pull everything. So you pull the short piece and you pull the long piece, and everything just gets all tucked underneath here. So my fingernail just got caught on that. My thumbnail just got caught and I just pulled burlap ribbon there. Pull that. There we go. We've got the tie again. Got the nice little proper tie. Looks something like that. Okay. I hope that explains it. Like I said, I do tie my son's tie, like, I don't know, maybe once a year when he had some concerts when he was in like early elementary, maybe a little bit in middle school, but I don't generally tie ties. So, but there is my cute little sock monkey. You can see some of the stitching. I'm not very good with the invisible stitching. So part of it is buying a kit I thought they would explain the stitching, and when they just say, oh, sew and monkey should look like this. Like no explanation as to how to sew. That's part of the thing I wanted with the instructions. But I said for $3.50, it is a very cute little monkey. Even though his arms are a little crooked, his ears are just a little crooked, but that happened with the other one I made. That's just me having trouble lining up and sewing properly. So I guess the last step, of course, is to fill out his little birth certificate. So I have to give him a name. I don't know what to name him yet, but I will fill this out and then I will put this on the back board behind me. So in my next video, I'll let you know what I decided to name him. Again, I say with this kit was so much easier to do than the little bear. I honestly don't think a 5 or 6 year old has the patience to sit and cut and sew like this. If you know any little 5 or 6 year olds who do that, I'd say it's probably because their parents probably sew, mom or grandma probably sews all the time or knits all the time. Like I know kids who can knit because their mom or their grandma knits and taught them how to do it. I don't know how. My mom never taught me how to sew or knit or anything, so I'm just kind of learning on my own. So I will say this definitely is an easier craft than the other one. It's a cute little craft. I mean, $3.50 for what you're getting. It's kind of like one of those things if you wanted to buy it for a little kid as a gift. So it's a pretty decent craft. You don't have to buy any supplies. It came with the thread, the needle, the socks, everything, the stuffing. I mean, I've got almost a full bag of the stuffing left. So my next couple projects will be filling up stuff, and I'll be using up this filling. So that being said, so again, see, this definitely is easier than the last one. There is cutting involved in this one, which can be tricky for little kids if they don't know how to cut straight. I mean, like I messed up cutting the ears because I flipped the fabric the wrong way and I cut it up backwards, I guess, and then I stitched it backwards. But after a while, I mean, it's brown and white stripes. They look the same, so I do like the idea that after I messed up on the ears, to flip the nose part upside down or inside out, so you do get that slight contrast, which does look really cute. So I would definitely say like 6-year-olds, not quite sure. 8-year-old would do. 8 to 10 for this one. The other one, the teddy bear, I would say, you know, 10, 12-year-olds probably could. They'd probably have more patience. If I had more time to do the bear one, I could probably do a lot better job. But it was my first time doing that type of craft. I said, I've made a couple sock monkeys, but that was so long ago. And I've made the cats out of the socks, and the little ones, the girl who I had the socks with, she was about between 8 and 10 years old, because she was at my house for a couple summers. So between 8 and 10 years old, and she made a couple different ones. Even her brother, he was a year younger, and he still had, you know, I mean, I had to help out with some of the the cutting at first, one of the first ones we did, but it was pretty easy to do. So I do think it is a craft for a little bit older than they say on the box, but I really enjoyed making this. I hope everybody enjoyed watching me. Again, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been subscribing and watching my videos, and please check out my other channel, Beauty on a Budget. Currently, I'm cleaning out my house, so that's what I've been working on with my other channel. Wasn't quite, I thought I'd be finished what I was doing, but just life gets in the way. I also just don't feel like cleaning. I also just don't feel like cleaning my kitchen, but I'm almost done. So I'm going to finish this video here, and then I'm going to start cleaning my kitchen some more, and I should be done my kitchen tomorrow. That's what my plan is, to finish my kitchen tomorrow, and then I can move on to other things for my other channel. My other channel is Beauty on a Budget with Heather G. So just thank you again for watching, subscribing, and I will see everybody in my next videos. Bye.